You have to make sure you're keeping up with the pace or what's going on. Make sure you plan out how much money you need for your marketing. If you don't have an exiting plan, then
you're gonna be doing a business forever.
Said I will be magnificent, I will be better than I ever been. Yeah, I will amaze me. True to myself, they can't change me.
welcome to Build a Better Business with the Floyds. Our names are
Davion.
And I'm Shavonna Floyd, and we are your hosts for today. We're going to have a wonderful conversation. Today we're going to talk about plans and planning and the importance of that. So super excited about having this conversation with you today. How are you doing, Mr. Floyd?
I'm always lovely.
You're always lovely?
Yes.
Well, you know what? It's lovely, period. It's lovely outside. It's lovely to be here. Lovely to talk with you guys. So build a better business. What we want to do is we just want to always continue to aspire or inspire aspiring entrepreneurs and those who are new in business, those who may have had a business for a little while but just need another re-energize,
jump start.
Yeah, to keep going, because having a business is just something amazing in our opinions. It's something that when we discovered, or what really was just when we actually got into it, it's something that we have truly fallen in love with. We are so excited to have our own business. We're excited about talking to our children about business, and it just gives them a lot of options, to know that, hey, there's two ways you can go about this. Of course, you can go the traditional route, go to school, get a great education, and then you could, find a great career working for someone, which nothing's wrong with that, because you do have to get some reps somewhere. But then I want you to know, I tell them, my children, I want them to know that you can build whatever it is that you want. The beautiful thing about the way we've been created, the way God created us, is that we can do all things. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. And there's benefits to having a business. I mean, it's so much more beneficial than running your own business and setting your own schedule versus just, taking the schedule of someone else to make them successful.
Right. I truly agree with that. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about planning, building that business and how that starts and what that looks like, because there is three major components that you want to make sure that you focus on, because if you want to build a strong business right off the gate, it starts with having a plan. So let's talk about that, dear. Planning is super important because we understand, of course, being a financial planner and just period, everything that we've done, we've always ultimately started with some type of plan,
Yeah, even, if you don't plan to fail, if you don't plan to make a plan, then pretty much you plan to fail. And the way it works, I use me for example, that even at the age of 18, I had a plan. I joined the military at the age of 18, and my plan was I'm going to do 30 years. And after doing 30 years in the military, I'm going to make $6,000 a month. It probably wasn't the best plan, but it was a plan.
Yeah.
I did 21 years and, the plan worked, but it's also better plans out there.
Right. But, dear, I don't even think that was a bad plan. Obviously, at that time, it was a great plan for us, retire from the military. He wanted to retire one time is what he said. He did, because his goal, if I remember correctly, is you didn't want to work again. You just wanted to retire from the military, retire one time, and you didn't want to work again. But, good thing for growth, because, we were at one time like in a box is what we call it. It's a box. That matrix they talk about, just routine, the same thing. We go to church, we go to work, we go home, and wash, rinse, repeat. You run around town, dropping your kids off to football practice and whatever practices they have. Then you go pick them up, and then you come home, you have dinner, you go to bed, you go to work. And you're just doing that whole process over and over again.
And then you'd be surprised how many people are actually working. Like I use the military. It also, it provided an avenue for you to retire at a certain age or a certain point serving. But it's a lot of people that's out there working jobs that's making good money, but it doesn't have an end. You know, you're just working and working and working, and you ask them like, how many years do you have to work this job before you retire? And they don't have an option for that. So
Right.
sometimes you have to, you know, come up with a plan outside of working for the rest of your life so that you can know when you should not be working anymore.
That's right. So, having a plan is really important. So let's say, because you can use it for all things, or you can plan for all things. You can plan for, your personal goals. You can plan for your business. You can plan for even, your career path. A lot of times when, I go, let's say, for example, when someone invite me out to lunch, sometimes people would do that, say, hey, I would love to take you to lunch and just kind of pick your brain. And I'm like, sure, let's go. But every time I go to lunch with someone, the question that I always ask them, like clockwork, so what's your plans?
Yeah.
I always want to know, what are you thinking about? What do you foresee yourself? I'm always talking about that because I feel like that's really important, opposed to, me sharing great information with you and you be like, oh, you just leave my presence and you're like super inspired. That's great. But I want you to think beyond that moment. I want to know, where do you plan to be? How do you see yourself in 10 years? What's your plan? And so if you want to build a successful business, it has to start with a plan. So
Yeah, I use, for example, I run into a lot of people that say, I want to be debt free in 15 years. And then my first question is, how much debt do you have? And they don't know how much debt they have. So it's hard to come up with a plan to get out of debt if you don't know how much debt you have.
Right. All things you can plan. So let's kind of chime in. So there's 3 areas that you want to focus on when you are planning. So for example, we're going to start with your business. So if you want to build a business, the first thing you want to do with putting together that plan is, what are your business goals? So that would be the first thing. You want to sit down and you want to start strategically thinking about the goals you want to accomplish in your business. Now, it depends on what type of business that you're going to have. Because there's lots of different businesses, So let's use, for example, so one of my favorite businesses I love to talk about is hair businesses. Okay. Maybe because I spend a lot of time in the hair shop, me and my daughter. But I'm going to use that one for example. Let's say, for example, you run a hair business, right? I think a reason why I like hair businesses, because I feel like it's an extremely lucrative industry, right? And there's so much room to really grow and make money, right? And then plus, with me being I would say a beauty shop girl for many, many years, I've seen lots and lots of different hairstylists, hairdressers, whatever name, like go estheticians. And I've seen like their process. I've seen some that had processes where, their calendars was booked and, and you cannot get, they don't even accept new customers because they have enough regular customers where, that they don't accept any new appointments, no walk-ins or anything, because their income is generated from that. That comes with having a plan. I think that's extremely clever. So you could sit down with yourself and you can say, listen, how much income do I need to make from my business? Okay, what are going to be my prices? And then how many customers I need to get at the average price point to be able to hit the target of how much income I want to produce each month. And then the cool thing about it is if you want to give yourself a raise, you're in control of that.
Can I piggyback off the raise?
Yes, yeah.
Like you said, I got my hairline going and everything. When I first started getting my haircut, I used to pay $8 a haircut. Mm-hmm. There's nowhere in the world you can get a haircut for $8 right now. Mm-hmm. It started at $8, then it went to $10, then $12. Now it's $40 just to get a haircut. Whew. And even to get my son hair, done, it's $65.
Right.
So that same hairstyle that used to cost $8 is now $40 to $65.
Yeah. And that's how you give yourself a raise. If you're in that industry, you increase your prices. You have to increase your prices, okay? Because what happens a lot of times, folks get nervous to increase their prices, especially when they have existing customers, because they feel like, okay, ooh, if I increase my prices, how are my customers going to feel about that?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, inflation, cost of goods and services, everything goes up every single year. And so if you have to think about it like this, if you want your dollar to keep pace with inflation, you have to increase your prices. You have to, because otherwise your dollar, every dollar that you earn and if you don't increase your prices, it's actually worth less than where inflation is. So your dollar is worth less if you don't increase your prices. So you have to do that, and that can be part of your plan too. You can put, set some timelines, and then maybe do gradual increases where maybe you don't want to make your existing customers too sticker shock. Maybe you charge $100 for a certain service, and now you increase it to $120. That's in reason, right?
And another example is real estate. Whether you want to increase your real estate or not, the property taxes are going to go up every year.
Right. That's
so
true.
You either charge more to cover those property taxes, or you're going to end up gaining more every year.
Right. Renters, folks who are in real estate as well, to have rental properties, that's another one too, where, they set their rents to a certain, amount. And we're guilty of that. We definitely can speak that. We set our rent. Yeah, you set your rent a certain amount, you have a tenant in there, and they're like for lifers. They're not going anywhere, right? And so, you set that price and you just kind of set and forget it. You leave it alone. Your mortgage is covered and you don't want to bother them. But at the end of the day, it gets to a point where if your property taxes keep increasing and they're still paying the same amount of rent, you're actually paying for them to stay there.
Yep.
And so, they have to understand that, listen, I'm sorry, but this year the rent's going to go up, an extra $50. And, and you're doing that just so you can be able to stay ahead. So that is something important. So when you're setting your goals when you're planning and setting your goals for your business, that is the first thing you want to think about. All those things, your income, how much you want to make, what your cost going to be, how many customers you need. Like, you literally want to sit down and you want to plan all of those things out in the beginning and then begin to execute. Because if you have your goals set and it's very clear, your vision, what you're trying to do, you have a higher probability of actually accomplishing the goal if you start off that way. So
yeah, and that's a good example I used when we started our first rental property. We was only renting it out for $700 a month. And when we did the mortgage, covering the mortgage and the insurance and everything else that came along with it, we was only making like $200 a month of profit.
Right.
And
years.
If you do $100,000 and $200 a month in profit, it's still gonna take like 30 years to make your, to pay that mortgage off. So even though it was a plan, it wasn't the best plan. So we had to make adjustments to, get more income coming in and raise the rent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it may be a little uncomfortable at first, but as a business owner, that's part of it. You have to look at your bottom line. You have to be on top of your numbers, and you have to look at all of those things, and you just have to be realistic. It's not about being nice.
Yeah.
It's about, you can still be nice, because really increasing your prices is not making you mean.
Yeah.
That's not a mean thing to do. That's a reasonable thing to do, because if you look at it, the price of gas is not the same as last year. The price of milk is not even the same. Eggs, butter, whatever you buy, nothing is the same.
A house.
Yeah, houses, homes, nothing is the same in cost. So you have to make sure you're keeping up with the pace of what's going on, so that your money and your goals can be accomplished consistently, because you're keeping pace with everything. So that would be the first thing I would say.
So like my wife said, you had to set a goal and how much you need to make that goal. That's what your price should be determined off of.
Right. So how much money do you want to make each month? That will be your first goal, the first plan that you want to set down before you start your business. The next thing you want to think about is marketing. Okay. I would say that you have to have a goal. You have to have a plan for your marketing.
Yeah.
Because I tell people, and I believe this with all my heart, I actually had someone, a mentor, who said, when we started our tax business, marketing is key.
Yeah.
Like, it's key. You have to have a marketing plan. Like, who do you want to talk to? Who is your customer? Who are you looking for? And how are you going to attract them? How much money you need to be able to advertise to them. What type of advertisement you do? Like, you literally have to think about all these things beforehand, because a lot of times, I see people, when you don't plan, they just literally just start a business and they're just out there.
Yeah. Even when it comes to rent, when we rent, you had to raise your rent so that you don't attract certain customers. Because if your rent is too low, you're going to get a lot of, like, I say, college, teenage type kids, and they're not going to take care of your property the way that you would.
Right.
So but if you have it at a certain point, then you're going to get older, mature people that's going to take care of your property the way you want. So, you got to have those prices set the right way.
Yeah, I agree with that. However, I will say this. It depends on what kind of property you have. Because listen, I remember, I think I shared that story with you when I think I was 19 years old, and I was trying to rent an apartment. And I remember the owner, she looked me in the eye and she's like, you're so young and you don't have no rental history. Because a lot of times I think young people get a bad rap automatically just because you're young. But you can be young and mature. So there are some young, mature people out there that can take care of your stuff. And I was one of them. And I'm telling you, if it wasn't for that landlord taking a chance on me, she's like, because I literally had to tell her, I said, listen, how in the world am I supposed to get rental history if no one will give me an opportunity to rent? Yeah. And I think when I said that to her, she just like, okay. And she gave me a chance. So young people, I don't know why I get that
also,
rap.
As a landlord, you also had a tenant that, put a hole in the wall and put a painting over it.
And she was older though.
Yeah.
She wasn't even young. She was older. She sure did.
She knew better.
Yeah, she did. But in this case, it wasn't so much about the age. It was more about the cost. Yeah. Okay, so I think my rents were too low, and it attracted, the wrong person. And she literally did not take care of my place at all. She destroyed it. And the most interesting part about it is not only she destroyed it, she was wondering why she didn't get her security deposit back. And this was a real thing. Like, I'm like,
So when your prices are too low, another example is almost like giving a teenager a Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz might be nice, but if it gets a flat tire or something goes out with the brakes or the lights, they can't afford to upkeep it. So you're giving them something nice, but if they don't make enough, or if they don't have enough saved up to take care of it, eventually it's going to go down.
I mean, it's very true. So always remember, you are in business. Yeah. And you are, you're responsible for everything at the end of the day. Before you want to bring other people into your business, you want to make sure you have all of your structure and, all of your procedures and your processes, all of that together, so you can be able to train someone else up in your environment that you've already created. So now we have talked about your goals, what that's going to look like, how much money you want to make. We talked about that. Yeah. And then now we have talked about your marketing plan, which that is very crucial. Please. Even in the marketing goals, what I didn't say is you also want to make sure you plan out how much money you need for your marketing. Because it's so important, you want to do that as well. How much money do you need? Or how much money can you be able to save but still be able to get the message through? Either or, because, you might find, someone that, say, for example, you get interviewed on a national stage or something that gives you like crazy, advertisement for your business,
Yeah.
things like that can happen. That could just be an all of a sudden type thing,
Yeah.
nothing. Go ahead.
And it's based off, like, my wife said, your finances. So let's say you don't have the money to do a lot of marketing.
Right.
But the ratio is, if you knock on 35 doors, you're going to get one sale. So imagine, how many customers do you need to make your monthly goal? And so if you multiply that, how many doors do I need to knock on to get how many customers? Or like my wife said, you can go get advertisement, through, a business or somebody that, interviews you, and that can expose you to thousands or
Right.
millions. But you're going to need the funds to get that advertisement.
Right.
So your funds, your finances help out a lot whenever you start in a business in order to do that marketing. So the more money you have to invest with marketing, the more exposure you can get. You can go the manual or the labor route by knocking on those doors. It's going to be long days,
Yeah.
knocking on, like 3-4 hours a day just to knock on maybe 60 doors. But, if you just sit in an interview for 1 hour and reach out to 1,000 people for a little bit more money.
Right. Yeah. Online marketing, social media marketing. There's like so many ways you can be able to market. It just depends on what type of business you have.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you have like a brick and mortar business where, like you're a hairdresser or you're a barber or childcare, like you have a daycare center, these are things that are like local, that you have that's in your city. And so this really dictates what type of marketing you would need to do. So if you're something where you have a brick and mortar business where people actually come to you and you perform your services in a facility, then, your marketing is going to be more within your city. You may have to get out there and hopefully not knock on doors. I personally don't like. I personally do not like knocking on doors. That's my least favorite thing. But if that is, but I'm not opposed to doing whatever it takes.
Yeah.
You got to be willing.
Those humble beginnings.
Yeah, you got to be willing to do what it takes. If it's some sweat equity you got to do. You got to go pass out flyers. You see that like when people are having like
Grand openings.
Yeah, grand openings or things like that. You see they be out and they be passing out them flyers, talking to people, doing what you got to. It's almost like I would say almost like running a campaign.
Yeah.
That's the best example to look at it as. You're literally running a campaign for your business.
Yeah.
And it requires, when you think about it, let's look at what do they do when they're running for, office. They're out there talking to people, shaking hands and kissing babies,
People
taking
got
pictures.
to know about you.
Yeah, taking pictures, hosting events. So think about that. They're hosting events, where they're speaking, people are coming and they're sharing, listen, why you want to vote for me. It's the same thing, why, you want to, come visit, my business. Why do you want to do business with me? Like you literally have to be willing if you really want to do it, because I've seen it where, like I've seen it time and time again where folks, just don't have, they love their business. They love their business idea, but they don't have that fire to go out there, go get it type, fire to go get it. And initially it takes that. You have to do that. That comes with part of your planning.
And then once you get those customers, people know about you and they start coming to your business. Mm-hmm. If you have a good business, they're going to tell other people about you. If you got a good hair salon, you do hair very well, people are actually advertising your business.
Yeah.
When they're walking around, people are going to ask, hey, who does your hair? Who do you go to do your taxes? And, almost like a good restaurant, if it's good, they're going to tell other people about you.
That's true. Yep, that is very true. So do what you got to do. When you sit down and you put together your marketing plan, I hope you're taking really good notes so you can make sure that you're thinking about all those key things because that's really important. And then just go for it.
Yeah.
Even if you have to consider, like finding yourself a little team, because we did that in the beginning when we were trying to promote our tax business.
Team Floyd.
Yeah, we were the team. It was us. And, and our children, which, we had them out there too. And so we were out in parking lots and at malls and, we were out at places.
And when we say our children, we're talking about our teenage children.
Yeah, our teenage children. Yes, we put them to work and they were out passing out and we like kind of coach them. You got to coach them up. your team, whoever, you decide. But we coach them up and say, hey, listen, this is what, you walk up to someone and say, hi, this is, our family, tax business. We do taxes, and give them a flyer, so coach them up so they can know what to say. This helps train them as well, so that, they will have the courage if, they decide to start their own business in the future somewhere down the road. They already been trained. They already know, have that go-getter, to go out there and get it, know how to talk to people, pass out things, seeing that whole process from the inside. So it's a little strategic, a little strategy behind that when taking them kids out there. So yes. So marketing, put that goal together, that plan together, and execute it. That's important. So the third thing that's really important that you need to do when it comes to planning is you have to plan, I call it your exiting strategy. Okay. That would be another important plan that you need to create in the beginning. And so what is the exiting strategy? Your exiting strategy is basically, how do you plan to transition from your business in the future? Because a lot of times, if you don't have an exiting plan, then
you're gonna be doing a business forever. For example, I use like a lawn service. When you first start out, you might go out and you cutting everybody's yard yourself, but it's gonna get to a point when your business continues to grow.
Right.
You can only cut so many yards, so you're gonna have to hire a team. And then, as you hiring your team, you're going to get older and older. So it's going to come apart that you're going to have to let the team go out and service the lines, and then you just manage the team.
Yeah.
So you don't see H&R people, the owners of H&R Block. You don't see them doing taxes anymore. So it has to be a plan to get them up to a certain point, get so many customers for them to back away.
Right. So when you're sitting down and thinking about your exiting, and exiting doesn't mean that you're necessarily quitting. That just means that you have developed a strong enough team where now you don't have to be a part of all of the day-to-days. You could either still remain as the CEO, and you can have someone who reports to you, and that manages everything, but they report to you, and you can check all the reports if you want to do that. Or you can hire someone who can even do that. So it's totally up to you how involved you want to be in your exiting plan. That's why you sit down and you write that out. How do you see yourself? So in 5 years, where do you see the business, and then where do you see yourself? Do you have a team at this point? How many folks do you have hired? And what job roles are they facilitating? What things are you able to delegate? And so as you move up and you have people that you under you that are taking care of a lot of things, that's making it less stress for you. So I want to speak to that a little bit, for the simple fact, I know so many folks that don't want to hire people because they don't want to incur the extra expense of paying people. But at the end of the day, you absolutely cannot grow a business if you don't hire people. You have to hire people to be able to grow your business. It takes that investment, because when you have more hands doing, you can do more.
And then you pretty much become a single point of failure. If you're the only one running the business, that means that you can't get sick, you can't have a child, you can't take vacation. Everything shuts down when you leave.
That's right. That is true. I used to work for long time ago. I used to work for a chiropractor, and in that office, it was him. He was the owner, and then it was me. I was his assistant, and that was it. Literally. So basically, it came to a point where whenever he wanted to take a vacation, whenever he wanted to, or if he was sick, could make it. It came to a point where I'm not a doctor, right? But he would trust me to run his office while he would go on vacation, out of the country for a couple of weeks. And I only can do so much. But if he would have hired another doctor, that could actually do what he do, he could then begin to step away, because he had a business model that was lucrative enough where he could have brought in another doctor. And then plus, if he had another doctor, that means that he just doubled his business, because now there's two doctors and he has room to see more people, the people that he see, the people that the other doctor see. And then of course that other doctor probably would have had an assistant too. And that's how you do it. But in that case, he didn't see it like that. You know, he was the one man shop and with his assistant, and he just would leave and he would just say, hey, you know, just check them in and you know, and go. And so, but one thing I can say about that that office that he's worked for, it's not there anymore. You know, it's gone. He literally was always, and I watched it. He was always stressed. He was always, you know, just high, you know, just feeling high strung. And then what I used to see him do, you know, is like to help calm his nerves, he will always go out in the back of the building and he will smoke. Now, his wife didn't know he smoked, you know, because he wasn't supposed to be smoking. I didn't say this now because, you know, this was like long time ago, long time ago. But he would, I mean, but that's how it was. You know, when you are the only person, you know, you're
carrying a heavy load.
Yeah, you're carrying a heavy load, and it's stressful and it's tiring, and you can burn yourself out. And the first opportunity that came to sell his practice, he jumped on it and he sold his practice, and he probably never looked back. I'm not even sure if he even opened up another, you know, practice at all. But yeah, I mean, so that's how it works when you are the only person. So you have to make sure you plan your exiting plan and start thinking about that. How do you want to grow? How many people you're going to bring on, you know, in what timeline? You know, where do I see myself in 10 years? When do I want to start exiting from this business? You know, I should, you know, if you start hitting those targets and those marks, you can be able to start judging when, you know, you're ready to start, you know, either taking a higher seat with less responsibility, or, you know, just have a business where you're the owner and all you have to do is come in and check on it, you know, and, you know, look at the books, see how things are, making sure everything is running like up to your standards. It makes me think about that show Undercover Boss. Yeah, you know, they get so far removed from their business, you know, because like, and they did that. They had an exiting plan. They, you know, they get to you know, build the business up to, you know, international or however big. And like now, you know, they're, you know, are not even working in the business, don't know anything about the operations because they've built up a whole organization.
Yeah, and the business has grown so much that they don't know that things that they can improve on because they're so separated from the business.
Yeah. So however you want to do that, you know, with your involvement, you know, I think one cool thing about that show is they actually come and you know, and on the inside of the job and see what's actually going on, to find out what's going on. But maybe you can have someone who can be your eyes and ears for you, you know, to take care of that, because you're at a point where, you know, your businesses don't need you anymore because you have did a great job of building it up to where it's at, and it's running and it's making tens of millions of dollars, and you know, and you've done it, you did it. You just have to think about that, but you definitely have to think about that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, even though you you know, you're transitioning like from doing the business yourself and have, you know, you pretty much in the background, it's still your business, so you're still responsible for your business.
Right.
So at the end of the day, regardless of how many managers you have, you know, how many people you have working under you and how separated you are, if something happens with that business, it's still your business, so you're still responsible for it.
Right.
You know, so we shared a lot today. You know, we told you how to, you know, start your business and, you know, pretty much the things that you need to put in place to slowly remove yourself from the business so that you can have some time. So if you like what we said, you know, we encourage you to share it with others.
Yes.
And, you know, go back and listen to it. You might learn a lot more from listening to it. So, you know, like we always say, you got to listen to it, you got to learn it, and you got to apply it, because we can tell you a lot of stuff to do, but if you never apply it, then we're going to always be in the same boat.
Right. And we don't want that. So, yeah, we want you to build a better business. We want you to be successful. We want you to have something that you can thrive and be so proud of. And, you can always leave us, like I said, subscribe, leave us some comments. Let us know what you think about this. Did you learn anything? Did you get anything good? Share with us, because we definitely will be reading them and would love to provide feedback.
Now, what would be awesome if we had someone or, many people that come and apply what we've taught you, and then you'll build testimony on our show.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. All right. So, I think that was a great conversation. What do you think?
I think so
that
too.
Was good. All right. So, till next time, we look forward to talking with you. We're going to end this and say goodbye.
All right. Build a better business.
All right. Goodbye. Till next time.
I will be, yeah. I was born to be magnificent, everyday great, far above average, maverick, no magic, his faith and works, his blessings is the perks.